Aloha shining ones. Thank you for watching this Instagram TV. This is my 4th time at this video. I'm gonna try and be succinct. My dog is also wanting to go out. And I want to share my heart. I want to share what I have been experiencing, what I've been learning, what I've been unlearning. And I want to keep it short for your time, really. And so when I heard about George Floyd, and I've shared some of this in some of my Instagram posts, and I feel like I want you guys to hear my voice, because and see me and really see how this is shifting in me. And it's not done. I'm in the process. I'm still integrating. And what I've learned is that in the many times when I've transformed radically in my life, I have been worried that the people around me would not be okay with my change. And so I kept it from them. And so I went over there, I got off Facebook, only did Instagram, and changed who I was. And then I realized that the people on Facebook needed to know who I am now. And so it was a little jarring for them to be like, wait, what? And even in my relationships, it's like I've gone through some deep personal transformations and kept those things from my partner. And then, they're like, whoa, what's going on? So I want to share this process with you, and it's going to be messy, and I welcome feedback for sure. So when I learned about the death of George Floyd, I wanted to help. And I wanted to donate a portion of the enrollment for one of my courses. And it was reflected to me that this was not a good move. That because I had not said anything about Black Lives Matter, that it would be seen as profiteering, because people would say, oh, I want to help. I want my donation to go there. And so when I had that reflection that because I hadn't said anything, that my desire to help by donating a portion of the enrollment for one of my courses would be seen as profiteering, would be damaging to the Black community, I was like, wow, that's the very last thing that I want to do. And so I literally pulled over to the side of the road after getting that voice message and changed that, took that off the website. And I'd already started reading White Fragility, listening to it, and I was just like, holy shit, I was in this place of being so well-intentioned, wanting to help, and not realizing that my help was harmful. And I was just like, wow, okay, if I can't see that, what else can I not see? So then I became like, wow, I need to learn everything. And I've been sharing everything. And because I'm a sharer, it's like I always am sharing whatever it is that I'm learning about, whatever it is that I'm going through. And so I've continued to do that just through everything that I've been learning about anti-racism, because I've just been obsessed. And it's like the only thing I want to talk about. And I'm not saying that for like a star. I don't want a cookie, it's like, I want you to know where I'm at, and I want you to know that things are changing in me and in the way that I hold space. And I want to let you in on that so that you're not surprised when things are different. And I also want to really create a very safe place for Black people and people of color with me and in the spaces that I hold. And I'm learning how, by not speaking about racism, I've made a safe place where there might be people with they're not overt racist, okay? I want to be super clear about that, because it's like, I'm from Kentucky, it's like racists are mean people. They're good old boys, they're, white men with nasty agendas and mean housewives who are, talking down to the plumber or whatever, it's like, and what I'm also learning is that I am and have been racist even through good intentions, through microaggressions, through not knowing the real history. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not trying to be like, oh, now I'm been saved and now I'm, going to heaven or whatever, it's like, but what I've learned is that there have been ways in which I've been harmful unknowingly to people that I love, and I want to do my very best to do that deprogramming and dismantling so that I don't continue to hurt people that I care about, or people that I don't know. That's the thing too. So I want to talk about why I didn't say things. And this is not for any kind of explanation. It's so that you know the whole picture about why I'm so passionate now. So I'm going to be brief here. So in 2016, I learned about the deaths of Philandro Castile and Anton Sterling, and I was deeply moved. And so I made a post that, and I can remember, centering the Black Lives Matter on this picture and feeling nervous, which I recognize now as super white privilege, that I get to be nervous about making a graphic, and Black people are nervous and afraid for their lives about getting pulled over. And not to mention so many of the things that I've seen and learned about that have been interactions with the police I have experienced and gotten away with. Okay, I'm gonna stay focused. So I made this post in 2016 and it went well. So I was like, okay, I can be political, okay, on my Instagram. And Instagram was a different place, and everything was different too. And so then there was Standing Rock, and I was very political about Standing Rock and very outspoken about that. And one of the things that I did for that movement was that, with my good intentions, because I grew up around Native American spirituality. My dad was brain tanning deer hides in our backyard and doing enactments about how to make fire. I did a vision quest when I was 22, but this is not about me. So I had the best intentions when I made a post holding a feather fan that I had made, and I had some face paint that I made with those tribal markers on my face. And at first, the response was really good because I was trying to get people to post, trying to raise awareness. And at first, that was what happened, and it worked. And then there were some people who came in and called me out for cultural appropriation. And I didn't have the words white fragility. I didn't know what that was. And I went into the full experience of that. I felt completely hurt, ashamed, guilty, attacked, and just shut down. And I had other things that were happening in my personal life as well. But I shut down. And so I was like, okay, posting about politics is scary, privilege, and I don't want to do it anymore, privilege. So I continued to see my friends, some of the people that I knew, continuing to post, continuing to share about Black Lives Matter, and I was in the space of, I have said that I won't speak about this, so I'm not going to. And so I watched them. And again, that's my white privilege. And now I know, I'm so grateful for this book, White Fragility, because it's just showed me and given me words for what I experienced. And now I know it's kind of like a a syndrome. That's kind of how I can think about it, is that like white fragility is a syndrome of that white people experience as a result of white supremacy. When their white privilege is called out into their attention, they have this white fragility syndrome that happens where they feel attacked and get defensive. And I did. I got, that was my experience. And I'm so grateful that I know about that now. So I was silent, and it didn't feel good, but I was too afraid to say anything. And so now when everything happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and David McAtee, it's just kind of like the lid blew. And I was like, I can no longer have this dissonance inside of me of wanting to share but being too afraid and censoring myself. And so I decided to share. And so I have been sharing. And it's kind of consumed me. Like, I don't want to talk about anything else. If you know me, you've had a conversation with me recently, we haven't talked about anything else. And I'm like, okay, I have to talk to the people in my family, because I'm from Kentucky. That was the other thing. It's like, God, reading about Breonna Taylor and reading about the protests and the riots that were happening, and reading the names of the streets. I went to college in Louisville, and the names of the streets where the protests were happening were places that I used to be and go. And my brother still lives in Louisville. And I have things that I'm talking to my family about, and I'm grateful for that. And I also want to say I'm not the saint of, that I'm here to have conversations to help them see, because I didn't see. And so I just feel super passionate, and I've done all of the research, and I've learned so many things, and I have seen and learned things about myself and about my experience as a white person that I can't unsee. And one of the things that was really powerful for me, it's funny how, you get your intuition guides you to something, and then so I have this altar that has a statue of Venus on it. The statue of Venus is made out of white marble, and it just seems really white. I like white. You guys know I like a lot of things that are white. And I don't know, I was just like, I wonder if there's a black Venus. And so I just Googled black Venus. There is a statue about a black Venus and of a black Venus. And so I was reading the article about this Venus, and it was a website and the writing was really good, and I was like, wow, this is a great website. I wonder what else is here. And so I started looking around, and they have links to other articles from other articles and stuff. And so I found this article that was about the difference between a Karen and a Becky. I didn't know about those. You can look them up, about these terms. And I feel like I said that kind of not good, about these terms of Becky and Karen. And then there was an article about the 5 different types of Becky. And what I saw, so there were in these 5 descriptions, Becky is a white woman who has privilege but doesn't know it, and therefore goes around like with microaggressions and unconscious bias, like just hurting and offending people. And so I saw myself in a couple of those examples. And one of them was the description of the Becky was really about a woman who's like appropriating Black culture. And so I was like, whoa, here's this cultural appropriation idea again. And so I've really had to sit with this and look at this. And I'm aware, I'm becoming more and more aware of the ways in which I have appropriated Black culture and other cultures. Even this necklace, you know, it's like I'm like, this is a style of a necklace that a lot of Black women wear. And for me, it's also, it's my handwriting, and it's my new name. So it's really kind of like when people want to call me Rachel, it's like, it's almost kind of like a reminder for them and a reminder for me, that I've shifted, and my name is Rakai'el now. And you can read the post about that later, or you can go back and find that, but that's not what we're talking about now. So I really had to dig into, why am I so fascinated with other cultures and that kind of colonial mentality of just wanting to take? And what again, I'm going to be succinct about this, but what I've really come to is that I felt like other cultures, like Indian culture, when I learned about Ayurveda and yoga, and, you know, back in the day, and Chinese culture, and, you know, when I was an acupuncturist, and Native American culture when I was growing up, and, you know, when I was working a lot with ayahuasca, like the Peruvian culture and Hawaiian culture, and like all what I can see is that I feel like all of these other cultures have so much life. They're more colorful. There's more of a sensory experience. And I feel like, you know, I did this embodiment workshop masterclass with Tori Wilson, Tori Washington. And it was so impactful. And in the embodiment exercise that we did, I found myself at the ballet bar. I did ballet from when I was 3 until 17. And I felt that rigid, like unemotional, just do what you're told, just follow the choreography. And then I remember when I used to go to an event called The People in Oakland, and my friends were some of the only white people there. And I was just so amazed by all of these beautiful Black people who are so in their bodies, and they just moved so freely, and they laughed so loudly, and I was just like, oh, like I want to do that. And so what I'm learning is that I've not wanted to be white, and I've not wanted to be American for sure. And that I feel like that what I'm discovering in the deeper in I go is this wanting to dissociate from the racism, from the brutality, from the enslavement of an entire race of people, from the confiscating of the lands of the Native Americans and the butchering of all of these people. And that, like, I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. And so there's this like disconnection and wanting to dissociate from my ancestors, you know? It's like when we talk about like the ancestors, I'm like Native American ancestors, you know, like Mayan ancestors, Peruvian ancestors, but not my ancestors. And so that's a big healing that I have to do. And so yeah, I'm really learning so much about my own subconscious drives. And so in that, I'm wanting to make a lot of changes. And so I feel like we need to change the name of the Magic Tribe. And the Magic Tribe was, I'm not going to speak too much about it, but it was a hashtag that I created back in 2014. And it's been a place, my intention was for it to be a safe place for people who are intuitives, who are psychic, who are spiritual, who are doing energy healing work, to be able to find refuge from being called weird, from being called, being ostracized by their families. And I've not used that hashtag a lot recently. And it is still the name of the community that we have in Mighty Networks. And I'm just feeling like that's not the best name anymore, because I feel like tribe is appropriating. So I'd love to hear if you, I've been all up in the thesaurus, and I'm also really trying to not use language that's not mine either. So being like all up in the thesaurus, I feel I'm learning things. I read an article about the appropriation of Black speak or Black vernacular, and so I'm adjusting and I'm learning. I've been in all. I'm going to keep filming. I have been exploring all of the different synonyms and all different kinds. I don't know if we even need to keep the word magic, but I would love your insights around what you think we should, how you think we should change this so that it can be more all-inclusive, more appropriate, more respectful. So I'd love your insight on that. I'm also really conscious that my intention is that I want to really create a safe place for Black people, for people of color, for Indigenous people, First Nation, all of the beautiful, amazing people that are in our community. And I want to create an even safer place so that we can be even more diverse, because I'm also recognizing that a lot of the people that I have looked up to in order to grow my business have been white. Not all of them, but most of them. And that a lot of the people who've been attracted to my work have been white. There's also a lot of beautiful, amazing Black people of color, Indigenous people. I love you guys. And I'm really grateful that you're here. And I want the spaces that I hold to be even safer for you. And so I'm in this process of really communicating where I stand on anti-racism, so that if there are people who are not aware, that they move themselves away from the spaces that I hold, and that I'm really also doing this work around looking at and pulling to the surface and deprogramming and dismantling my own unconscious biases and my own anything that I might be doing to harm people that I love and want to connect with. And whether that's microaggressions, whether that's gaslighting, I want this to be a safe space, because I'm here for this new reality that we're building, and I believe in it, and I know that you are a major part of it. And I want to support all of us in coming together to lift you, Black people, people of color, Indigenous, beautiful people. I hope I'm not being patronizing. I'm really trying to learn more, to create a more integrated, holistic space where everyone, especially you, feels safe. I want you to feel safe from me and with me, and I want you to feel safe in the spaces that I create and hold. And because this revolution is turning the tides, and this is why we're here. So I am really finding a new voice, a new way of showing up these eclipses that we've been having have been in my first house. So it's really how I show up and how you see me. And so I'm in this space of real transformation and rebirth, and even especially around my deep unconscious values and ideals. Like that was eclipsed by this lunar eclipse in Sagittarius that we just had. So I'm really in the space of rearranging and deprogramming how I show up in the world. So thank you so much for being here with me. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. I would really appreciate if I know that there were some places where I was not in alignment in what I just said and didn't say things in the way that were the most beneficial and supportive to Black people and people of color. I'm trying not to say BIPOC because I don't want you to be an acronym. And I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to grow, I'm willing to share what I learn, and I'm here for it. So thank you for being here, and I love you guys. And I'm transforming right along with you, and I'm excited to see where we're all going together. Thank you for listening.